Buyer's template, addendum to property subject to mandatory membership in a property owner association, otherwise known as the HOA form. You're not going to fill out anything on this right now at the top. That's just once you actually have a property that your buyer's interested in, then you would fill that out. You would need to know the association and the phone number. If the listing agent did their job, and you're going to hear me say that a lot because a lot of these listing agents do not. In this office, I require that you do your job because you make it so much easier and the transaction moves so much quicker when the buyer's agent can go and find everything they need. But if they did not do their job, you're going to have to find out who the association is and a phone number. Now, hopefully the listing agent's already filled this out for you, but if they haven't, it may be to your advantage to fill it out. So get that information. You can find it a lot of times right on the MLS from other listings. You may want to call them yourself. Call them up and say, I need to know what the transfer fee is. I need to know if there's any additional fees for release of information. If you know what those are in advance, then and the listing agent didn't fill it out, and the listing agent doesn't know because they didn't take the time to call, this could be the advantage of your buyer. Say they're going to charge a $150 transfer fee, and they're going to charge an additional $150 for additional information the title company is going to need or the lender is going to need. That's $300 that your buyer would have to pay. In most cases, because it is negotiable, but in most cases the buyer would end up paying that fee. If the listing agent filled out the form, you need to check on that. And here's another, if they did fill out the form, say they put $200 and then you find out it's $300. Well, you just got an advantage to your client of $100, so yeah, that's good. But you find out it's $300, you can fill it out yourself and say that the buyer will pay $100. Buyer will pay $150. Then it's up to the listing agent then to go back and negotiate with or talk to their client and negotiate that price differently than what you put it in. If a listing agent is too lazy to fill it out in the first place, chances are they don't even know what the fees are. They're just going to tell their client to sign it. That's on them, not on you. You're trying to work for your client the best deal that you can get. So you want to fill out the name and the phone number, call them up, and then you would put that information down here that exceeds right here the fees. That's where you would put that amount, whatever amount you're willing to pay. If they want a copy of the deed restrictions, then you're going to fill this up here. Now, there are some neighborhoods that they would want a copy of the deed restrictions, and a lot of neighborhoods they may not want it. You need to ask them, it's their decision whether they want it or not. In most cases in homeowners associations, there are certain things that you cannot do. You can't paint your house, change your roof, change your fence, do anything out front without permission. You can't put fountains in your front yard or statues, or in some cases you can't even plant certain trees or shrubs. Cinco Ranch, you can't put anything but a sago palm in the front. You can't put any other kind of palm tree, which I didn't get it, but that's what they say. Homeowner associations can be as strict as they want to be, and so it's a good idea to know if you can have a garage sale, if you can put signs in your yard. For any reason, you need to know that. So they may want a copy of it. It's their right. If they want a copy of it, then you mark that yes, they do want a copy of it, and they want to know within the option period whether or not this is a deal they want to go through, because of the deed restrictions, they may not want it. They may not want the house, so I would put in there within 5 days. Then you would come down that you will see sometimes that the selling agent will mark 4. They do not have that right. They absolutely cannot say that the buyer does not want a copy. So if you see one with a 4, unless the buyer says they don't want a copy, you don't use it. You call them back up and you say, no, we're rewriting this because they do want a copy of it. They can't say they can't have it. When it comes in, a buyer has received and approved the subdivision information, signing the contract, the buyer does or does not require an updated resale certificate. In most cases, lenders are requiring that now, so you better put they do, and there's a fee for that in all cases. So that fee needs to be added down here. So that's when we call them up and ask them, what is the transfer fee and what is the additional fee for any information, this resale certificate or whatever, because there's always a fee for that. So make sure you have that in there, and that's where this amount would be right here. That's how much somebody's going to get charged. Either going to be the buyer or the seller. It's up to you as a negotiating person for your client to decide how much this is and see what fight for it. A lot of agents don't even take this form into consideration. They just mark it. They don't need it, and they'll put $200 down there and be done. If the buyer wants it, the buyer has a right to have the deed restrictions. If there's a charge for it, then it's negotiable. If they need the resale certificate, it's negotiable. Transfer fee, it's negotiable. So if the listing agent didn't go to the trouble to fill this form out, you can now use this form to save your client some money. And then when you get down here, the authorization, you need to put that the seller shall pay the title company the cost of obtaining information for the title company. Again, if the listing agent's paying attention, that'll be argued. If they're not, they're not doing a duty to their client. It's on them. That's it.